about ready to get started here. So, I am Ranger Joel, very proud owner of that spider over there. Today we're going to be talking about spiders in general, and then we're going to talk about some of the local ones that you'll find in the Midwest.
Is that one in the corner?
No, none of the ones we'll see in the presentation are Lucille, unfortunately. Maybe I should have added some pictures of her. So we're going to talk about spiders. We're going to talk about why we should maybe treat them with a little more respect and appreciation, and why it's kind of deserve our love and not our fear. So, why are spiders so awesome? Well, first things first, they're our friends more than anything else. A spider's never going to chase you and bite you or anything like that. They're much more afraid of us than we are of them. And they typically like to keep away from people. They keep pest populations down, insects not only in your backyard but in your home. And they take care of a lot of the disease-carrying insects, such as ticks and mosquitoes. There are spiders in pretty much every habitat on Earth except for the poles. They're one of the most diverse and adaptable genre of animals out there. Oftentimes after natural disasters, such as like a volcano eruption on an island or something like that, spiders will be the first life that'll come back. Because they're so diverse, they have just an endless array of superpowers all over the world, from swimming underwater to jumping obscene heights to cartwheeling down planes to just about anything you can think of. And they come in all patterns, sizes, and colors, so there's a spider right there for everybody. So first we'll talk about the life cycle of a spider. It's not very complicated. They're born from an egg sac with dozens to thousands of brothers and sisters, and they'll typically stay in the web with the mother and their siblings for the first few molts until they get a little bigger, and then they venture off and find their own territory away from the brothers and sisters. There are some species of spider that are communal, but you're not really going to see any of those in the upper United States. And then they'll set up their web or their hide or whatever they favor, and they'll hunt, and they'll start building up more energy to molt. And then they molt, which is how they grow, and they slowly get bigger until they're adult size, and they'll go out, find a partner, and produce another egg sac. It's pretty simple. So molting is the most difficult part in a spider's life. It's how they grow. Essentially, how arthropods, which are all bugs and spiders, anything with an exoskeleton. If you don't know what an exoskeleton is, it means that they have their skeleton on the outside, kind of like a suit of armor. But because of that, the drawback is that the skeleton, because it's hard, it can't grow. So what they need to do is produce a new skeleton underneath the old one, and then shed it, and then grow. So what they'll do is when they're ready to molt, they become more reclusive, they'll stop eating. And typically this is because when a spider has a new exoskeleton underneath the old one, for them it's kind of like wearing two pairs of gloves. They can't feel really anything. And most spiders, feeling is how they perceive the world. Their eyesight is not very good. So they'll isolate themselves, and then when they've decided it's time to molt, sometimes they'll make a web to lay down, sometimes they won't, and they'll lay on their backs like that. That's typically what tarantulas do, but other spiders, even tarantulas, sometimes pick another position. Sometimes they'll be upright, sideways, what have you. So they'll get in that position, and they'll be in that position for hours. They produce a lubricant between their old and new exoskeleton that allows them to push out. And what makes this so dangerous for the spider is if they can't get out of that exoskeleton before the lubricant dries, it's the end of the spider. So it's a real danger for them. And then when they do finally get out of that exoskeleton, they'll stretch out as far as they can. And what they're doing when they're doing this is they're pumping their blood through their whole bodies, all that stored energy that they have, to expand as far as they can before their exoskeleton hardens. During this time, they're also really vulnerable to predators. Their exoskeleton is really soft, even their fangs are really soft. As you can see, they're white there, so they'll harden up and they'll turn black. But it's a really dangerous time for them, and even prey items like crickets are a real danger. So, and then another noteworthy thing is when they do molt, their colors are usually very vibrant and beautiful, and that's really satisfying to see. And we'll talk about spider anatomy a little bit. So the spot where their eyes are there, that's called the carapace. And when they're molting, that'll flip open, and that's how they wiggle out when their abdomen will split down the middle. Of course, they have their legs. These two little legs up here are called pedipalps. And in male spiders, it's actually where the reproductive organs are. Whereas females, they're in the abdomen. And then the abdomen is the softest part of their body and the most vital. It has like all of their internal organs, their egg sacs, their stomach, everything. You can actually really determine how hungry a spider is by how big their abdomen is. So yeah, and then we got spinnerets. Pretty self-explanatory. So now we're going to talk about some of the spiders in Wisconsin. Some of these you can probably see every day and don't even really take notice of. So first up, we got the crab spider. The crab spider is pretty unique in that it can change colors from white to yellow. And they'll do this depending, they'll sit on the flower and they'll change colors to blend into it, which is really cool. They have really strong venom for their size, so they can take down bigger insects like bees and grasshoppers. And they're pretty itty bitty. And they get their name crab spider because you can see their hooked leg there, how their legs are kind of put together. They can actually go from side to side like a crab, which is pretty entertaining. And we got the arabesque orb weaver. This is one of the most common species of orb weaver in the world. They're present on all continents. They, as their name suggests, make an orb-like web. They can spin up in as little as 2 hours. The females will typically sit in this web for the majority of their life. During the daytime, they'll hide out in a little hide that they make, either connected to the web or a little away. And at the night, they'll be in the center of it. Males do this too, but males also will hunt along the ground sometimes. So, we got the eastern parsing spider. These ones I see in houses quite a lot. They're known for their speed. They don't build webs like other spiders. They'll just run them down, which is pretty unique for them. They're really distinguishable by like that diamond-esque pattern on their abdomen. And when they're running away from prey, they zigzag, which is pretty unique to them. We got the Carolina wolf spider. There are dozens of different species of wolf spider in Wisconsin, but this is definitely the biggest one. I can grow pretty close to 4 inches in size, which is impressive. Females will actually dig 8 inches into the ground to construct their egg sac, flying with webbings and whatnot to kind of observe the outside through feeling. And the trademark for wolf spiders is when their egg sac does hatch, it is not uncommon to see all of the hundreds of little babies all on top of the spider's abdomen. They're kind of parento, which is really rare in the arthropod world and really cool. And like the parson spider, they're more active hunters. They don't have the speed, but they choose to hunt rather than make a web more often than not. We got the dark fishing spider. It's a fishing spider, can walk on water. There's been plenty of reports and some pretty cool photos of them actually taking down minnows and other aquatic insects. They're one of the spiders I'm going to disperse really quickly. Females can lay egg sacs containing upwards of 1,000 eggs. They often live near watersides and so on and so forth, but they are pretty widely distributed. You can find them in forests far away from water too. But they're definitely best adapted for aquatic life, which is cool. We've got the zebra spider, which is a jumping spider and one of the most common species that I see every day. They're considered to have, jumping spiders in general are considered to have the best eyesight in the arthropod kingdom, which is pretty significant, better than all the bugs. They're said to have about as good of eyesight as we do. They can jump 2 feet straight up, which is insane for their size. And they do so when hunting down prey. Males, it's pretty entertaining. A lot of spiders do this to some capacity, but they'll dance around and they'll vibrate certain parts of their body to kind of sing to who mates, which is pretty entertaining. And I don't know if they influence bungee jumping, but they do it. They do it pretty often to avoid predators. Let's say a little troop of ants is going along a branch. They can hook on their line of silk, jump down, and just dangle and wait there for the danger to pass. So then we got the northern black widow. This is the only medically significant spider native to Wisconsin. You can find brown recluse that bite at daylight, but they can't survive the winter, so they're not native to here. It is less venomous than the southern species of black widow, and despite its strong venom, it's actually a pretty docile spider, and it keeps away from people. They typically construct their webs in dark places, hollowed out logs, sheds, that sort of thing. And it is a myth that the female will consume the male in pairing. It happens, but it happens with all spiders, and it's not a sure thing by any means. So those are some of the local species, and just some closing thoughts to leave you on. Spiders eat an estimated 400 to 800 metric tons of insects every year, which is insane. Whereas spiders are responsible for as little as 7 deaths in the U.S. annually. Usually those are due to contributing factors such as medical conditions, and that 7 number is as high as it gets. It's often below that. Most species of spider are non-aggressive, docile, and they don't want anything to do to hurt you. So, maybe we can consider spiders our house pests, not house guests, not pests. So yeah, that's what I got for you for the presentation. So we are going to, if Lucille allows, we're going to try to feed her, and then we'll let you guys color and then leave it at that. Sound good? Yeah.
Thank you.
So Lucille here is a curly-haired tarantula from Southern America. She's very docile. I've had her since I was 13, so she's an old spider, but she's a sweetie. They're called curly-haired tarantulas because they have blonde, wavy hair all around their body, just fluffy. All right.
What even is that? Oh, I get it. What is that?
What's what?
The you just put in there?
Oh, that's a dubio roach. It's a type of cockroach.
I want.
It's her favorite.
No. Eat that. What if the spider's gonna eat it?
Oh, got it.
Wow.
Just like that. So I didn't cover this, but how spiders eat, a lot of people have this misconception that they use their venom to liquefy the insides of their prey. They actually pump stomach acid into their prey, liquefy it, drink it up as a soup.
I have never seen a spider that big.
Yeah. With smaller spiders, it's pretty crazy. You can't even tell that they've eaten the insect because the insect will still be intact when they're done. But with a bigger spider like Lucille here, it'll just be a ball of mush. But yeah. She's like, oh, I don't know if she wanted it.
You can hold the marker.
I might get it later.
So it eats the shell of the bug juice.
So it might consume a little bit of it, but it's really going for what's inside the shell.
Then you have to go ahead and clean it.
I mean, with tarantulas, typically you clean the enclosure like once a year or something like that. They're really not messy, but they don't leave a lot behind. But
Do you want to try?
What do they drink? Water?
just how you would think, they go. Seal's got a little water bowl there, so she just dips down, and sometimes her whole head will be kind of almost submerged in there. Yeah, smaller spiders, some of them don't really need water regularly. They can get it from like little droplets, dew droplets and stuff. But bigger spiders need a water bowl.
What do they mostly need to live?
What's that?
What do they mostly need to live?
It's pretty simple. Tarantulas are actually really easy pets to keep. You feed them once a week maybe. They can go months without food though. Sometimes they'll refuse food for months. And you give them a water bowl, place to hide, some substrate deep enough for them to dig if they want to, and that's about it. A lot easier to keep than quite a lot of other things.
Oh, yeah, exercise it.
They're pretty content to have their square foot of space. They don't move a lot, but when they do move, they're usually doing something pretty interesting.
Yeah.